Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Fignuts podcast. This is episode number 128, if you're keeping track, but it's actually season 3, episode 28. My name is Britt.
And I'm Craig.
And Craig, I am a happy camper.
You are.
My team, for the first time in my life,
in 50 years,
is in the Super Bowl. I'm not 50.
No.
I'm in my 40s, so I'm damn close. And I've been a Chief fan for, God, it's almost 30 years now, since at least 25 years. This is to the point where the game ended the other day, and I looked at my wife and I went, "Are the Chiefs in the Super Bowl?" And her response was, "Thankfully, yes." So I am the last. I was thinking about it. All of our contributors, yourself included, on this podcast have seen their team play at least one Super Bowl.
Yes.
Except me. So I'm finally going to join the club.
Yeah, you got Montana got you to the playoffs for the first time in 25 years.
He got us to the AFC Championship in 1994.
Yep.
And we lost to the Bills in the AFC Championship, and then our next trip to the AFC Championship wasn't until last year, 2019, January 2019. And now here we are in 2020, we're going to play in the Super Bowl. So, but I'm getting ahead of myself. But first, Craig, I am over in the Frank Gore extended studio, and you're back in the main studio, the Blake Bortles Memorial Studio.
Yes.
What are you drinking tonight?
I have a dark beverage called iced tea.
You're on the wagon too, huh?
Well, okay. I was going well for about 2.5 weeks. I didn't have anything to drink. Okay. And then one Monday morning, we had a pipe break in our condo.
Oh, that's right.
So that was fun. So Monday night, I had a beer. And then this past weekend, we had a lunch for my mom who turned 80. So there were some drinks involved. But other than those two spots, I haven't drank anything.
Since the New Year's party.
Right.
Wow, good for you.
So I've drank a lot less.
I'll say this. The biggest miracle of Britt's Dry January is that I survived 2 Chief playoff games.
Yes.
If the Chiefs lose the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl's on February 2nd, so I fully plan on having beer.
Did you take the third off?
Not yet. But I always do. And I always do even when my team's not in. I'll do that tomorrow morning. I'll put in that request first thing in the morning. I plan on having if they lose this Super Bowl, then I will never drink on a day where the Chiefs play in the playoffs again. The Chiefs couldn't win a home playoff game to save their life. They've won before this season. They've won 1 out of like the last 8. They won the divisional weekend in 2019, and then they of course lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship last year. Yep. Before that, they lost like 6 or 7 straight home playoff games. So
maybe that's it.
I'm a very superstitious person. If they lose a Super Bowl because I'm drunk, then I will never drink during the playoffs again.
No,
it's been tough though. I'll tell you.
I just want everyone to hear that he won't drink when they're in the playoffs ever again.
Correct.
Not that he won't ever drink again.
No, as a matter of fact, I've got 2 beers in the fridge that I have lined up for the Super Bowl. I'm excited to try. I've been sitting on them for a couple of weeks.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Well, one of them's just too juicy because I just love having juicy around. But the other one was the one I sent you guys the other day by Foley Brewing, Prospect. It's a tropical IPA, and it's rated at 4.26 with over 20,000 ratings.
Wow.
A 4.26 with that many people drinking it is really unusual. So I am going to go, by the way. I did say I was going to announce it formally. I got so many invites to so many Super Bowl parties because my team's in it that I felt like LeBron having to hold an ESPN special to announce where he was going to sign. So I'm announcing now that I'm taking my talents to the Source's house.
Nice.
Are you coming to that? Are you coming? Because you invited
you. Yes, I will be joining you.
So I will make sure I save. I'm going to bring the whole 4-pack of this Prospect beer then, because you're going to be there. I'm going to be there. Cinch is going to be joining us. I haven't heard from Sean, but it'll be nice. Nor will we. Nor will we. Anyway. All right. So we are both still on the wagon, but a week from tomorrow on the 30th, I am ending my dry January because I have, we're going to our friend Keith's wife Holly has a band, and they're playing at a brewery in Milford. So I'm going to do 30 days though. So it has been an interesting experience. As I said last week, I learned a lot this time around. All right, we don't have DFS this week.
None.
We can discuss DFS type topics, but we have no lineups to give you. I will tell you this. I took a gamble on my tournament lineups. I don't do a ton of tournament lineups, but last week during championship weekend, I took a gamble and I put Raheem Mostert in single game lineups as my captain. And holy cow, was that a genius move.
Yeah, because Coleman was hurt and he showed up to play.
Yep, I put him in 3 or 4 different small lineups, and I cashed in every single one of them, including, do you remember you sent me the link to remind me that they were DraftKings was doing an end-of-year survey tournament to thank people who had taken the survey?
Yeah.
I put it in there. I cashed in that.
Wow.
It was a freebie, only the top 1,000 or so cash, and it was $1 because it was a freebie tournament. But I cashed in a tournament with 200,000 people that was a freebie, and you can't cash in those; they're crazy. Only the top 1% cash. But I was like, holy crap, I won $1. So, so we don't have any new DFS to give you, and I don't know that we're going to talk about DFS next week. Single game DFS is so tricky, and FanDuel is running.
There's not a lot to pick from.
Exactly. And did you know, I found out today, FanDuel is running Pro Bowl pools. How the hell do you pick for the Pro Bowl?
You might have better chances at the casino.
Seriously, you might as well just put the roster on the wall and throw a dart.
Pretty much, because they're only going to be in for 3 plays.
Yes, there's no way you can play. Anyway, all right. Burning hot takes. I have a list of topics in front of me, so we're going to talk about a lot of topics, a lot of news, a lot of lighthearted football talk tonight. But Craig, would you like to give or receive?
I'll receive.
Okay. So a bunch of news stories. The big one that broke this week is that Eli Manning plans to announce his retirement on Friday, which is tomorrow. And, of course, here comes the debate, hard and heavy from every angle. Eli Manning planning to retire.
Yep.
Is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer?
It's just a yes or no, or do you want an explanation?
You give me whatever you want. I would love to hear why your rationale is, but go ahead.
I would say yes, because he won 2 Super Bowls. He beat the Patriots twice. Sorry, Cinch. He did end their undefeated run. I think 2 rings being a quarterback almost guarantees you getting in.
And you're right. It is almost. There is only one quarterback in the history of the NFL that is eligible, because Peyton's not in, but Peyton isn't eligible yet. You have to be retired 5 years. So Peyton isn't even eligible yet. There's only one quarterback that is not active and is eligible for the Hall of Fame that is not in with 2 rings, and it's Jim Plunkett.
Wow.
And yes. Well, here's the thing, and this is the thing. People know Jim Plunkett because he was a Raider. He played in a lot of different places. And so the question becomes, if every quarterback that has ever gotten 2 championship rings as a starter, because we all know Jimmy Garoppolo already has 2 rings, okay, because he was a backup. All right, we're not counting backups. As a starter, has 2 rings. And Plunkett's got to be the measuring stick. You have to be at least better than Plunkett, right? Well, here's the thing.
I guess.
I mean, if you're worse than Plunkett, then there's no conversation here, right? If Jim Plunkett's not in, and you're not as good as Jim Plunkett numbers-wise, how could you possibly get in?
Right.
Here's the thing that people – and this is why I do believe he's going to go in. If you compare him, the one guy who's not in the Hall of Fame with 2 rings, and Eli Manning, Manning's touchdown to interception ratio is better. Jim Plunkett actually threw more picks than touchdowns in his career. Eli Manning has a winning record as a starter over his total number of games played. Jim Plunkett was exactly 500. He was 72-72 in his career.
Okay.
Jim Plunkett was 8-2 lifetime in the playoffs, but was, again, that means that during the regular season, he was under 500 because he was 72-72 all time.
Okay.
He was abysmal in places. Abysmal. Now, to be fair to Jim Plunkett, Eli Manning has led the league on 4 separate occasions. One time, he threw a 99-yard pass, and he was tied for he was the league leader in single pass. Obviously, one pass for 99 yards is going to get you that share of that tie. but the other 3 categories he's ever led in his career were total interceptions thrown. So the only category that Eli has clearly owned is that he throws a lot of picks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a real strong indicator either.
True.
But Plunkett never made a Pro Bowl. Eli's made 2. Things of that nature. I think he's guys, if you're a Giants fan, you're screaming that this isn't even a conversation. If you're a Patriots fan, and I know a few Patriots fans who have already told me that this is not a conversation, you probably don't believe this is a conversation either. He's going to get in.
Yes.
So the follow-up question is, should he get in? Take away the Super Bowl rings. Imagine rings don't exist. Does he get in without the championships?
Then I would lean towards no.
And that's why I think people are up on it. But the bottom line is he provided stability and success there for a long time.
He did.
15, 16 seasons he was there. You got to give him credit on that. So I agree. He's going to get in, but you can debate whether or not he should get in. But you can't debate that he's going to get in. He's going to get in. It's just a matter of when. Really, it's just a matter of when. So, all right, what have you got for me?
All right, so question for you is about the Chiefs.
Okay.
Chiefs are in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
For the first time of your viewing live.
Yes, for my life.
Now, exactly. Now, of course, we all hope the Chiefs win. Right?
Well, I do.
Right.
I'm sure the Niner fans don't.
Probably not, no. So, there's, let's say, just hypothetically, it's 50-50 the Chiefs win.
Yeah.
Let's say the Chiefs don't win, hypothetically.
Yeah.
As a fan, would you rather they lose like 57-14, or would you rather them lose excuse me, like the way the Titans did all those years ago against the Rams, where it's the last play of the game and they fall short by like a foot?
I never want a blowout unless my team is the one doing the blowout. I would rather have a close game so that at least I have interest.
Okay.
I go back to, and I've told this story before on the air. The very first bowl game UConn played was the Motor City Bowl against Toledo with Dan Orlovsky, and that game went out of hand quickly. And I think, as I've mentioned before, I had people over for that game. By halftime, we were looking for board games to play.
That is true.
Because I think at halftime it was 28-3, and we were like, "This is over." It would have been all UConn. So even though UConn was blowing them out, we were just like, nobody really wants to watch this. Why do we still have this on the television? So I would rather see a close game under any circumstances. But if you tell me right now that at halftime the score is 24-3, it better be Chiefs 24-3. That's the way I would look at it, because they're not going to pull off a comeback like they did against Houston again. That was a one-time deal, and I'm glad it happened because I think it scared the holy hell out of them. Yeah. And it got them this far. So that would be me. What about you? Would you rather see a blowout or would you rather see a close game?
No, same thing. I would rather have a close game. I would just want my team to not embarrass themselves with stupid mistakes. That'd be my biggest thing, because I remember years ago when the 49ers were playing the Chargers in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. That game got bad quick.
The Stan Humphrey Super Bowl.
The middle of the second quarter, like, we started playing a card game because the 49ers were winning by so much.
Were you over at my house for that? I feel like I was...
No, I was at your house for the Rams game. The Rams-Titans game. That yes. We were at John's house.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I even with my team involved, I'd rather see a close game.
And I remember the Bengals were playing, again, the 49ers. I thought the Bengals were going to win. And then Joe Montana had 90 seconds to go 94 yards, 5 yards. So. Yep.
And next week we will do a really fully we'll probably dedicate the entire episode to the Super Bowl. We'll talk primarily about what we think about the different things. Maybe we'll put together a lineup for fun. But this week, the week in between, I really like to let and there's so much other stuff going on. I really like to talk about the other stuff first. So all right. So my next question. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I had to clear my throat there. I'm going to go away for football for a second.
All right.
Because I can. The other day, I'm driving along, and I got Spotify playing in the car.
Okay.
And for some reason, Spotify decided that I needed some 80s power ballads in my life.
Okay.
And so it pulled up Making Love Out of Nothing at All by Air Supply.
All right.
Then it played Winds of Change by the Scorpions. And then it played Beth by Kiss. It led to me. It's just I'm like, what the hell is with all the '80s love power ballads? Oh, and then "Glory of Love" by Peter Cetera came on at some point. So my question to you, Craig.
Yes.
The greatest power ballad of all time, off the top of your head, doesn't have to be '80s. What is the greatest power ballad of all time for you? Go.
Here I Go Again on My Own.
Wow, you didn't even hesitate there. Did not even hesitate. And I didn't clear this with you. What's that?
That's definitely up there in my head.
Yeah, because I didn't clear this question with you in advance. I love the burning hot takes to be spontaneous, and you did not miss a beat there. Did not miss a beat. That's a good one. So, all right, that was my non-football thing for today. Like I said, all those songs I just listed are songs I really enjoy, so I can't really pick one of them. All right, let's switch back to some football. So we got a ton of topics here. I'm just going to keep tossing out topics because I wanted to get the power ballot thing up because the next thing we have to talk about it's time for our weekly update on the status of Antonio Brown, and things are not better.
No, they're worse.
Antonio Brown is now reportedly hiding in his house.
Oh, is that where he is?
That's where they think he is.
Okay.
That's where they think he is. So for those who have not been following the saga, Antonio Brown had some stuff shipped back to his Hollywood, Florida home via truck. I'm presuming from when he had a house out in California. And there was some sort of arrangement where the driver was expected to pick up $4,000 in cash for the delivery upon receipt. And AB, for whatever reason, did not have it or did not give it. And the truck driver said, well, then I'm not unloading your stuff. And a fight ensued. The truck driver is claiming that AB and his trainer threw a rock at him, that they committed battery, and that burglary is one of the charges in here. That day, the trainer was arrested. Apparently, they tried to talk to AB at that point, but there was no warrant for his arrest. They arrested the trainer, but AB saw the writing on the wall and hid in his house. Well, now there is a warrant for his arrest. So in the last week and a half.
This quick side note: this is after him yelling at, yelling at his ex-girlfriend about taking one of the cars so she can bring the kids to school.
Yes. So in the last 2 weeks, we've had video of him cursing at police.
Video that he made.
Cursing at police in front of his kids and his girlfriend. His kids taken to school in a police car. The police saying, okay, we don't want your money for the police athletic league anymore. And by the way, that flag football youth league you were going to have is canceled. His agent dumps him. And now there is a warrant out for his arrest. Can this go any further south?
Sadly, yes. No, he can wind up like Junior Seau at this rate. I don't want it to, but if you told me tomorrow morning you sent me an article that it did wind up that way, I'm not going to be shocked. Because I feel like this is like gone downhill really fast, like in the last 4 weeks. Because at first when he was in Oakland, we were like, oh, okay, haha, he's being an ass, whatever. But
right.
It just got worse and worse because you heard about how the Saints wanted to try him out, and the Saints
and he showed up with an entourage.
Right, the Saints were like, don't say anything, don't tweet anything, don't bring anybody with you, just come here and work out.
Yep.
And he brought an entourage with him for security reasons, and they're like, you know what? Get out.
He's paranoid. He literally thinks, and again, this is all right. So let me preface this with the standard disclaimer: I have not met him. I don't know him. I'm reading the same thing everyone else is reading. Having worked in mental health, this screams of paranoia. He thinks the league is out to get him. He thinks everybody is allied against him. He's been very clear on this. The league doesn't want him to play. He's taken shots at ESPN. He really thinks there's a conspiracy out there trying to bring him down, when the reality is he's bringing himself to this level. If he would just stop with the antics and actually focus on football, this wouldn't be a problem. The problem is, I think he's very ill right now. I think whatever he's dealing with, maybe it's depression because he's had such a rough time. Maybe he does feel like he's been, done wrong. Maybe he is experiencing I don't know because I don't know the guy, but I know this. This is not normal. And this is not what's going to get you a job back in the NFL.
No.
He needs help. He needs professional intervention. And maybe it's just a counselor that sits down with him and say, listen, this is not how normal people behave. What do you want out of this? Because this is not normal.
Yeah, because his ex-girlfriend said he needs help. His dad did. Drew Rosenhaus said he should get help. So that's 3 people that are fairly close to him.
Yes.
That know him probably the best out of anyone.
And don't forget, Rosenhaus dealt with T.O., and he never took this step to say, I can't handle this. So, all right, well, we'll keep an eye on it. We hope for the best for him. I'm having a terrible cough tonight.
The plague is still going around the state.
I feel fine, and I've been fine all day. And then as soon as I start broadcasting with you, all of a sudden I've got coughing fits. All right, so next on the list, quarterbacks on the move.
Dun, dun, dun.
Phillip Rivers has abandoned his California home and has relocated all of his stuff back to Florida so that he can be closer to his family, which lives in Alabama. Personally, if I want to move specifically to be closer to my family, I move to the state they live in. But that's not what he did here. My God, I need like a cough drop. So now, of course, here comes the rumors.
Oh, yeah.
The reason he's going to Florida and the reason he's moving closer to Alabama but not into Alabama is because Tampa is interested in him. Question. Well, I get something to drink.
Yes.
Is Tampa a fit for Phillip Rivers? 1. 2, does this mean the end of Jameis Winston? And 3, if not Tampa, where?
Wow. I don't know. I feel like Tampa's a weird team. They're not like Houston. It's almost a little bit like Houston, but they have a lot of talent, and then they show really small flashes of being great, and then they just stop playing. So I don't know if Phillip Rivers is going to be able to fix that. I can kind of see Phillip Rivers winding up in Jacksonville. Maybe. Because I don't know what they're Gardner Minshew's there. Nick Foles I don't know what the hell Nick Foles is going to do. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't think Jacksonville really wants to pay him anymore after being broken. So I can maybe see him in Jacksonville more than Tampa, but...
Here's why he's going to Tampa. 2 words. Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer found resurgence where? Near the end of his career.
Arizona.
Who was the coach?
I don't remember.
Bruce Arians.
Was it then?
Who is the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Bruce Arians.
Carson Palmer, last year, actually went on the record on a show and said that Arians going there would be the best thing that happened to him. And then said something about they're going to be great together. A quote, they're going to be great together. It's probably the best thing that could have happened to Jameis at this point in his career. Getting a guy like BA to come in and clean up some things technically and really installing what he does and push the ball downfield, end quote. Palmer spent the final 5 years of his NFL career in the Arians system. Bruce Arians, like old, experienced quarterbacks.
True.
If he's sick of dealing with Jameis, or he wants to put the fear of God into Jameis, is Jameis and Rivers the 2020 version of Fitzmagic? Not Fitzmagic. Tannehill? No, Tannehill and Mariota? Do you bring in the grizzled veteran to scare your quote-unquote franchise player into getting his crap together?
Or trying to, and just replacing him?
Yeah, think about this.
I can see that.
This is the genius of what Tennessee did, okay? Because Ryan Tannehill turned out to be way better in Tennessee than I think anyone else thought he would be. The genius of it is this. If you bring him in and Jameis goes, holy crap, I need to play better, then you have nothing to worry about. You've got a good backup in case Jameis gets hurt, and Jameis has been hurt.
Yes.
Okay, and Jameis has been suspended at times in his career. If you you just hand the ball to a guy that you know can do it, and he's going to have been in your offense for a couple of weeks. He's going to understand what you're trying to do. If he doesn't step up, you hand the ball to the more experienced guy. Mariota had an opportunity. He had 5 or 6 games this week. I think it was week 6.
I think it was week 6.
He had almost half a season to get himself right and to get this done right. He didn't take advantage of it. He, for lack of a better term, dropped the ball. So they brought in the other guy. The field map is there. The field map is there. Is Tennessee the 6th seed if Ryan Tannehill starts the whole season? I don't think so. They probably win that division.
Yeah.
They probably don't split with Houston. They sweep Houston. They probably win 10 or 11 games, and they probably win the South.
Yeah.
So along the line of quarterbacks on the move,
yeah,
it's time for where in the world is Tom Brady? So if Phillip Rivers isn't going back to L.A., of course, this starts the conversation that Tom Brady is.
Yep.
You have been on this from the very get-go. Do you still think Tom Brady has a shot of playing for the Chargers next year?
If he still wants to play and he is not on the Patriots, he will be a Charger.
Better chance that he stays in New England or that he goes to L.A.?
Here's the thing with New England this past year, and I've had Patriot fans admit this. Their offense was not that great.
No.
The receivers were not good.
No.
They dropped a lot of passes. If you look back at their games and look at the drop passes,
yep,
it would have been a different score.
Yeah.
I don't see them fixing every receiver spot this offseason to help Brady. So I don't know if Brady, I feel like he definitely doesn't want to end his career on last season.
Right.
So my thinking is if they don't get whatever he feels they need to win in place, he's going to leave.
I think that's probably accurate.
And then you look at other quarterbacks that went to other teams, like his idol Joe Montana. Left the 49ers, went to the Chiefs, brought the Chiefs to the AFC Championship game in 25 years.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
So just to kind of bring it back around to what we're talking about here, Tom Brady threw for 4,057 yards this year. 4,000 yards. That's a fantastic year for virtually anybody, right?
Right.
But it's his lowest total that's not affected by injury, because I'm not counting 2016 when he missed 4 games. Or was that the year he was suspended? That might have been his suspension. But he only played 12 games that year. That is his lowest total since 2010.
Was that when he was out all year with his knee?
No, that was 2008.
Really?
That he only played 1 game. Yeah, it was that long ago.
Whew.
He's played 16 games every year since 2008, except 2016, which must have been the suspension. He only played 12 games that year, so that's the 4-game suspension. So he had his lowest yardage total this year. But and go back to that year in 2010, even though he only threw for 3,900 yards, he threw for 36 touchdowns. He threw for 24 touchdowns this year. That is his lowest total since 2008. That's really that's in the last 12 years. He's never thrown. His second worst has been 28 in 2016. And again, he didn't play a full season. He threw fewer touchdowns this year than he did the year he missed 4 games on suspension. That tells you a lot around
telling.
I don't think that's a lot of him. I think that's a lot of what's around him, like you said. I mean, let's be completely honest. I'm going to take out the suspension year.
Okay.
I'm going back to 2015. Yardage total, 40. I'm going to round off, 4,700. 2017, 4,500. 2018, 4,300. The number is coming down, but it's not like it's plummeting. It's not like he threw 5,000 yards last year and now he only threw 1,500. They're small incremental losses. And don't forget, the Patriot game plan shifts. Back in 2010, they had a better running game. They was able to throw 36 touchdowns because they were able to do play action a lot more effectively. So I think there's a lot to be said about the talent around him, like you said. He did not lead the league in any statistical categories this year or last year in 2018 either. But just like it's not as much Brady getting old as it is the Patriots making sure that he has the weapons around him that he needs.
Right, which is why I think if they don't get whatever he thinks they need, I don't see him staying there.
Yeah. So, all right. So there's our quarterbacks on the move update. Okay. Let's see what else is on my list. Like I said to Craig during the pre, I have a list here. I'm upset. We do have that. I'm going to save the coach stuff for the off season a little bit because I haven't really looked at a lot of the new coaches just yet. Unless there's anyone in particular you want to talk about. I mean, we could talk about the Giants' completely rebuilt staff.
Yeah, Jason Garrett is their new offensive coordinator.
And Freddie Kitchens is there too now.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing for them. I just saw they signed Freddie Kitchens.
He's an assistant to someone.
He's the assistant quarterback water boy coach.
He's the assistant regional manager.
Yes. He's the special assistant to the assistant regional manager. So we'll get into all of that because we'll break it down because there's going to be more motion, I think, after everything is said and done. Baseball's still hiring coaches. The Mets finally hired a manager today.
Hey, there you go.
I can actually go to games again because I was so against the Carlos Beltran hire at the beginning. So I'm just happy that I can go to games again. So I've actually heard people. This is my next topic on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Best ball, football, 2020.
Right. Yep.
I've actually already heard people talking about best ball leagues.
It's a tad early. Tad.
The 2019 season isn't officially over.
I wouldn't do best ball till after the draft.
Yes, we've had that conversation a number of times.
Yes.
My thing is I don't even know where people are playing best ball right now because draft is in the middle of its integration with FanDuel. You can't even get a best ball pool there right now.
So now is FanDuel actually going to have a best ball section?
I don't know because
I hope so.
all they keep saying is that they're integrating. They'll be bringing fantastic new FanDuel, and I'm like best ball because if it's not, I'll be pissed. So it still feels way too early for best ball. How can you possibly draft best ball? You don't know who's going to be drafted and where in the NFL draft. I mean, your buddy Joe what's-his-face from LSU. Why am I drawing a blank on this kid's name? Joe Burrow is like the only pick we know, and that's just because we know since he's
we're just assuming the Bengals aren't going to screw it up. Everything
I'm hearing says they're loving what they've seen. They have no reason to doubt him. They don't want anybody else. Everything I've seen has said that they want that. So,
and I've had people tell me they should draft Tug, but I'm like, after his hip injury and he's not out of rehab yet.
Tua?
Yeah. I'm not saying he's not good, but that was a really bad injury.
This is a bit of a game manager to me. I mean, Alabama is just, and not saying LSU doesn't have talent outside of Joe Burrow, but Alabama is just such a deep, deep team. I mean, what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Matt Leinart coming out of USC.
Remember Matt Leinart?
Yeah. Well, he led his team to a national championship. Yeah, with Reggie Bush lined up behind him. There was a couple of receivers on that team, too. I can't even remember off the top of my head who was on that team, but that team was loaded with talent, NFL-level talent. That's not exactly a huge stretch. I'm not really sure that Tua is going to be the real deal at the next level. And you're right, coming off of the injury, it's a concern. It's a concern.
Yeah,
I mean, he's going to go.
Oh, definitely. I keep hearing that Miami's going to try to draft him, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, and here's the other thing. Drafting quarterbacks high has so rarely worked out in the NFL.
Yeah, just ask the Jets.
Yeah, seriously.
They're still working on on this quarterback. So, but
yes, but I mean, if you got a stat guy, because we don't have a stat guy, we can't afford a stat guy. We do our own stats. But and I'm saying this off the top of my head, so I didn't have time to research it. But if you got a stat guy in the room and said, go back to the last 20 years and show me every quarterback taken in the first round and where they were taken, there are going to be great names that are historical that are not there. Patrick Mahomes, a great quarterback. I love the kid. I can't say he's not like an all-time great yet, but look at the guys taken ahead of him. Trubisky went ahead of him. Look back at the draft where Alex Smith came out as the number 1 overall pick. Aaron Rodgers went in the second round in that draft.
Did he?
Yes.
Oh, I thought he went really late in the first.
Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it was way after. Way after. Tom Brady, 7th round pick. High quarterbacks. Now again, it's not always. Peyton Manning was a top pick.
Yep. So was Ryan Leaf.
But so was Ryan Leaf. I mean, do you remember when what was it? Was that Ryan Leaf versus Manning that year? Was that did they both come out that year?
Maybe. I have to look.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, the other one was Trent Dilfer versus Rick Meyer.
Oh my God.
Those are two guys that went 1-2, and Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl, but he was a game manager. He was never the quarterback that they expected to draft out of. So you know what? I'm not trying to scare you about Joe Burrow at all. I'm not suggesting that at all, but I'm just saying everybody gets up on these quarterbacks because it's such a hard position. There are just as many good quarterbacks in the later rounds these days than there are in the first couple of rounds. Everyone expects what was it, 84, the year Elway and Montana and there was the amazing quarterback. Yeah. Everybody expects that every year, so you got to grab them early.
Jim Kelly was in that class.
Jim Kelly, yeah. You have to get the right guy, and the right guy
in
for
the
your
right system with the right coach.
So let me ask the question point blank: is Patrick Mahomes as good as he is now if he gets drafted by Chicago?
No,
because I think a good chunk of his development, and I think he would say this too, is playing with Andy Reid. I think there's a lot to be said there.
Yeah, can you see, what if Patrick Mahomes was on, I don't know, the Dolphins?
No.
He's still going to win some games. He's still going to make amazing throws, but
they team.
They're not in the Super Bowl.
No. Let's not forget. We just talked about how Tom Brady needs more weapons around him. They can't do it by yourself. They got Patrick Mahomes. Then they went out and they got Tyreek Hill. They went out and they got Kareem Hunt, who they obviously parted ways with.
Rid of.
Well, yeah. Don't hit people. I mean, that's the story there. But they got people around him. They brought in Sammy Watkins, who has not been exactly fantastic. But look at when the Chiefs receivers catch balls. That's the reason the Chiefs have been so successful, is because Andy Reid loves to scheme for everyone to be involved some way, somehow. And the way he's played this year, I go back to it again. Don't forget there was a week this year where the Chiefs' leading receiver was Byron Pringle.
And Britt won a tournament.
And I won a tournament on it. Well, I finished 4th, but I cashed on a tournament out of 200,000 people because I was drunk and I used Byron Pringle. Okay? You've got all these weapons. That's what Andy Reid needs. Andy Reid needs options, and when you've got that many people, there's no way to stop them all. There just isn't a way to cover everybody effectively. You want to play zone? That's fine. The Chiefs have watched enough tape on your zone at this point to know where the soft pockets are. Every team this late in the season has enough tape to know where your soft pockets are. So you need to change it up. And that was one of the good things. That was one of the things that Tennessee did well this year, was shift looks. They would show man-to-man and drop into zone, and it would be so confusing. The Chiefs worked around it really well, but a lot of that was because Mahomes ran well. But I don't even remember what the original question was because I got so off track here. But the draft stuff.
Yes.
So I don't know. I don't really like the idea of going up high and getting a quarterback. I really don't. Particularly in today's free agency market. He can play for you for 4 or 5 years and then go wherever the hell he wants.
What do you feel would you have to draft high?
Oh, well, offensive line. I mean, that's outside of your base skill positions. I mean, offensive line is something you have to grab big. And I would say running back, just because they have such a short shelf life. Running backs don't last as long in the league in general as the other positions do. So you want to get them more frequently, and they're easier for you to move around. You know what I mean? It's if Zeke Elliott doesn't turn out to be Zeke Elliott in the first 2 years of his career, Dallas can walk away from him and go grab somebody else. And that's what the insurance policy when they brought in Tony Pollard. So I don't know.
Speaking of running backs really quick.
Yeah, please.
Did you hear the rumor about a trade with a running back that might happen?
So you're talking about Le'Veon Bell?
Yes.
I heard this briefly. Fill me in. What the hell's going on here?
So there's rumors that because the Jets signed Le'Veon Bell for a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
They apparently, because I don't know, Adam Gase and his weird eyes. I guess
Buyer's
they
remorse.
yeah.
I got buyer's remorse.
So they're thinking they want to trade him to the Redskins for Trent Williams. So it would be Trent Williams to the Jets, and the Redskins would get Bell and a third-round pick in 2020, this year.
The Jets do love picks.
They do. Would you do that? Would you trade Bell and a pick for an offensive lineman that may or may have not had health issues?
I don't know enough about the Jets' existing line to know how big of an upgrade that is. Le'Veon Bell clearly was not the back that the Jets were expecting this year. There's no question about that. So maybe I might consider doing it. But why would Washington do this? Why? You're basically conceding that you think you're basically conceding that Geis can't play more than 3 games a season.
Has he played more than 3 games a season? I don't
think so. I mean, he may have appeared in 3 or 4, but he probably 4 or 5, but he probably left 2 of them early. And you're also conceding that you're done with AP, which I don't think AP thinks he's done. I think AP thinks he's going to be.
AP's trying to be the next Frank Gore.
Yeah, I think he thinks he's going to play forever, and that's not the case. So I don't see why Washington would make this move unless they're going to trade, unless they've already decided they're not bringing in AP again, or they're going to try and move away from Darius Geis. I mean, he's too costly for an insurance policy. So, I mean, by doing this, you're basically telling Darius Geis he's going to become the number 2 back because he's been injured as much as he has. I don't know. It just from a. I don't know.
I think Washington wants to trade Trent Williams just because there's so much, because they owe him money and there's been so much conflict there that.
Right. Oh, he's the guy with the head issue, right?
Yeah, he's the one that said he had a bump on his head for several years, and the team doctor's like, and he had like several surgeries, and he was like, can you just get rid of it? And they were like, no.
I can understand why they want to load him. I don't think Le'Veon Bell is the right person to make the deal for. There's so many things that Washington needs that I don't think, and running back is not high on that list compared to some of the other things. I mean, compared to most of the other things.
Right.
Their secondary is horrendously old. Their wide receivers, if you take out Terry McLaurin, they don't have anybody. They need. There's other areas you can address by trading somebody with the talent level of Trent Williams.
And speaking of the Redskins, did you hear that Case Keenum said this is Haskins' team?
And it should be at this point. Win, lose, or draw, you have to do something with Dwayne Haskins. We just talked about quarterbacks that may have been drafted too high. Dwayne Haskins is now on that list. You have to do something with Dwayne Haskins because he's already cost the coach that drafted him his job. And we all know that's a bad thing for a quarterback.
Yeah, it's a bad start.
When the guy who drafted you gets canned, and if the guy who comes in doesn't like you, then you are in a bad spot.
Yes.
A bad spot. So I think Dwayne Haskins has to make some progress this year. Now, from what I hear, depending on who you listen to, they've seen good things out of him. They've seen bad things out of him. I don't know if Dwayne Haskins will be better next year. Again, this is why it's way too early to start talking about 2020. I need to see some mini camps. I need to see what happens in the drafts. I need to see if there's trades. I'm looking at a lot of every team, and maybe this is something we'll do like after the Super Bowl is over. We'll sit down and just ask the question. Give me one burning question for each team, because I think you could look at every team and ask, what are they going to do about X, Y, or Z? Or what are they going to do to improve something else? The Rams. What are the Rams going to do about Todd Gurley? Can they afford to sit pat on the fact that the guy seems to be losing a step? Are they going to rely on Darrell Henderson?
That's a good question.
What are they going to do about their passing game? Do you know what the difference between Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp was this year?
What was
Touchdown catches. Touchdown catches. If I told you right now that both of them caught 90 passes this year, would you be shocked?
If they both caught 90 passes?
Yes, that in 2019, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp both had 90 receptions or more.
I kind of would be.
Because it seems like all we hear about is Cooper Kupp.
Yes.
It's all we hear about is Cooper Kupp, and that's because Cooper Kupp gets the touchdowns. But their numbers are not that dissimilar. I'm going to pull it up really quick.
And Cooks he had too many concussions.
Cooks is a non. I am so done with Cooks. He is a guy with great talent. I just can't anymore. I just can't. All right, let's see. Here we go. Rushing and receiving. Okay. Robert Woods had 90 catches for 1,134 yards. Cooper Kupp, 94 for 1,161. The difference between them outside of touchdowns, Kupp had 4 more receptions for a total of 27 more yards.
And what was the touchdown difference?
Brace yourself.
Okay.
Kupp had 10. Woods had 2.
Oh.
That's it. Robert Woods caught 65% of the balls thrown his way. Kupp 70%. Yards per target. Woods 8.2. Kupp 8.7. They're the same guy.
Only one of them is catching touchdowns.
But only one of them is getting into the end zone. But if you ask the average fantasy player walking down the street, what's the difference between them? He would sit there and go, "Oh, Cooper Kupp probably outscored Robert Woods by about 100 points." No, he didn't.
Apparently not.
He didn't. As a matter of fact, Robert Woods, because he had more touches, because he actually had 115 yards rushing this year, where Cooper Kupp had 4, had more yards from scrimmage than Cooper Kupp.
There's a nice trivia fact.
There you go. But I guarantee you know what? Cinch listens to the podcast, but we know that the source doesn't always listen sometimes. And we know that I guarantee you if we walk in there and we said to them on Super Bowl Sunday, how many points was the difference between Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods? They would overestimate it. Now keep in mind, 8 touchdowns and even a 4-point system is 30 points by itself. But I think the average person would sit there and go, "Oh, Cooper Kupp outscored him by at least 75, 80 points fantasy-wise." You know, it's not true. They're the same dude. What are they going to do about that? What are they going to do? I mean, you had two guys over 1,100 yards. They need to figure out
their – I think the Rams' problem is they need to figure out their running game.
That's it.
That's their issue.
So Todd Gurley only had 857 yards rushing this year. He didn't break 1,000 yards.
Nope.
Do you know who the number 2 rusher on that team was?
Who was it?
Because I would have assumed it was Darrell Henderson, right?
That's who I would have assumed.
It's Malcolm Brown.
Really?
Malcolm Brown had 255 yards rushing.
Wow.
So I mean, that my whole point is every team is going to have burning questions to answer. And I think Washington has bigger burning questions than what are we doing about our running back? I think that they're misfocused. So, believe it or not, Craig, we're out of time.
We are out of time. It's sad.
But you know what? Don't worry. I say this every year, and then every year we never get to all the things we want to talk about, but we've got a whole off season ahead of us. We'll have plenty of times to talk about that. I would really love to sit down. Maybe we'll do this because if we're going to the Source's house for Super Bowl Sunday, there's a great brewery 10 minutes from his house. So we might head up a little early. I would love to just sit down with a pad and paper and rattle off every team and come up with a question just like that.
All right.
What are the Rams? What are the Rams going to do about? What are the Giants going to do about? What are the Cowboys going to do about?
Ooh, I like that.
Just one question for each team. And if we have 2 questions, that's fine. If you have a question, I have a question. And then we can dedicate some off-season time to it. What are the Jets going to do about blank? Or how are the Jets going to deal with blank? And we can go that way. So I love that idea. Craig, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Hi, Deb.
Oh, yeah.
This season, as always, went by really quick. And a quick, really last football note.
Yeah.
The Raiders are officially the Las Vegas Raiders as of Wednesday.
Wow.
It's officially official.
It's going to feel weird with them being there.
It will, really? Especially since they're in Vegas and the whole betting thing. It's going to make it a little weird.
My final thought is just that don't expect any impartial analysis out of me next week with the Super Bowl.
No matter who wins.
Yeah, no, going into next week when we sit down at these very consoles and start talking about who's going to do what on Sunday and who do we like, by then we'll have prop bet numbers out. We can discuss that. If that's something that's legal in your state, it's still not legal in Connecticut. Connecticut, get off your ass and make that happen. I'm just telling you, I'm not going to be able to be impartial. The answer to who wins the Super Bowl is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to win, they're going to cover, and they're going to be over every prop bet in my head. So
there you have it.
So don't expect impartial information out of me next week, but we will be back next week.
We will.
And to talk about the Super Bowl and get some stuff rolling for that. And then we'll be shifting into off-season mode. And we say it every year, but don't fall asleep. Dynasty people are already chugging away. Your break time is really only the 6 weeks between the Super Bowl and the draft. And once the NFL draft hits, it's prep time again. And then prep time really kicks into overdrive in July.
Yes.
And that's when we'll release our rankings. We will not be releasing early rankings, folks. No.
There's no point.
Way. Why? Why? The only people who are drafting in April are dynasty people, and dynasty people don't care what we think. They spend all year doing this. They should have every person who does a dynasty successfully should have a podcast too. Just should. So, but we'll be back next week. In the meantime, leave us a review wherever you listen to us. Send us an email, fignutsdfs@gmail.com. Reach out to us on Twitter @fignutsdfs. And then next week, we'll be back for our Super Bowl preview. And then Craig and I will be watching the Super Bowl with the Source and his friends. And then we'll either have a very happy host or a very unhappy host come the week after. But either way, I will be there. Unlike last year when the Chiefs got knocked out and I took the week off. I think I had a conflict anyway, but I think Cinch sat in for me because I was like, just go do it. So until then, my name is Britt.
I'm Craig.
And we are the Football Fignuts Podcast. Thank you for listening.